And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for being here. Once again, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And, connect to me, Dukect, all that good things. Anyway, let's get into the big stories in the world of video games. And, this is not really a surprise at all. A surprise that it is a surprise because, again, these game companies have been, I mean, they just don't, when they last as long and they don't have really competent leadership, this stuff happens. Because right here, this came out this week, and this is, the May 19th, published by Zuhair Ali, and last updated the next day. Ex-Bungie dev says Marathon leadership was extremely toxic and humiliating to work with. Bungie leadership needs to be gutted completely. A former Bungie developer says Marathon leadership was extremely toxic and humiliating. And and calling for a complete overhaul of studio leadership as the studio faces heavy criticism and ongoing morale issues. And says that there was a negative first for Marathon, the extraction shooter Marathon. There's a lot of people were negative. They did not like it because of the negative for the closed alpha. A big old, just huge art scandal, because I remember this story here. Plagiarized art. This came out last week. And Marathon's art director has addressed this. It says, quote, you put it on stream, it says this right there. Quote, it says, during the live stream, Joseph Cross gave a clear and personal statement about the situation. And that he explained that in the early pre-production phase of Marathon, an artist working on a team took graphic elements from a graphic designer, I'm not going to try to pronounce that name, without asking or giving credit. Those elements were added to a decal sheet in 2020 and ended up in the alpha build that has been since shared with testers and community. Cross admitted there was absolutely no excuse for this oversight, as Bungie is now reviewing all the work by that artist with special focus on environmental details. Let's see. And says, he confirmed the team is delaying some content reveals to make sure every asset is properly sourced and recreated. In the past 24 hours, Bungie has already reached out to to the artist and started a broad audit of the game's art to catch anything else that might have been inappropriately used. Here's the full statement from Joseph Cross during the live stream, transpired the game post. Quote, it came to our attention that an artist who worked on Marathon in the early stages of pre-production took a number of graphic elements from a graphic designer without permission or acknowledgement and placed them on the decal sheet that was then checked in. In 2020, the decal sheet included icons and text elements. These elements end up in our alpha build, and there's absolutely no excuse for this oversight. And we are working on and 100% committed to our review process to ensure instances like this don't happen again on Marathon or at Bungie. A few of these things that we've done over the last 24 hours and what we're doing to show up the review process as follows. We have reached out to Anti-Real, the artist in question, and followed up and to ensure what we do right by this artist. We are auditing all the previous work by the artist, the internal artists, including the environmental details already in this build, which is part of why we're delaying some of the content we are going to show today. We are committed to removing anything that is unquestionably or inappropriately sourced. We are doing a very broad decal audit, and if we locate any of these details or elements, we'll make sure that those are eliminated or recreated in-house for sure. Hundreds of artists have worked on this project for years, internally and externally, and we share main influence, including modernism, Swiss typography, 2000 style vector art, cyber programming, and of course the original Marathon trilogy. Our style is a result of all those inspirations, and it's also worth noting that none of our external partners who have worked on branding or any part of the virtual design of our game were involved with this situation. And lastly, personally, I have a huge amount of respect and administration for artists working independently and producing, making a living doing commercial or fine art. We worked with many of them. It's one of my favorite parts of the job to make those connections, create content, and collaborate. And so to that extent, I want to send my personal apology to Anti-Real, whose work was used in this case. And I know how unfair this feels, and we're doing anything we can to make this right with her. Her work is fantastic. We're clearly share a mutual appreciation for a specific genre of graphic design, and it's very exciting. And I'm excited to fold that into our style in general. So thank you for listening, and thanks for our patience. So yeah, they already had these issues, and now you have not just that, but now the morale collapses behind it. Morale's basically going down, and now man, the bad development cycle as well. Now you have marketing changes, playtest trends, all this other stuff, and just like the calls are not just coming outside, but it's inside the house because we're coming from still many developers working on Marathon reporting raised their concerns over the years, especially the push to keep the game focused on PvP and not include any PvE features. Despite these repeated warnings, Bungie's leadership is said to have brushed off the feedback and refused to reconsider their approach. Oh, right. Let's see. Oh, Templar is Toronto, I believe, is right there in the AW wing. He's getting up there. He's ready to go up. And beautiful handspring just jumping out of the ring there. Beautiful stuff right there. And a bit, he's going up there. Oh, stop him. With a big old kick. Thrust kick. All right. Go here. And he's trying to. He did. He took all of them down. That's beautiful right there. Up and boom. And he's the guy, the golden guy, I think Musca, I think is, wait a second. Goes up. Trying to reverse it. Goes up. And, he's up. And Poison Rana. That is it. I think that is it. Goes up with a nice Poison Rana. Jumps up. Crowd is already out there. Loving this. Jumping up there. And he's about to finish him off, I think. Beautiful moonsault right there. 1, 2, 3. That is it. Beautiful stuff. Anyway, back to something that's not beautiful. A former Marathon, this whole mess behind the scenes in Bungie. Former Marathon developer speaks out. Extremely toxic and humiliating. The latest will come from a former Bungie developer. Back to the article here. Who worked on Marathon, known online as Spirited, who shared a comment about his experience on social media. On Sunday, Spirited posted on Blue Sky saying, "As a former Bungie employee who worked on Marathon, I feel for those still at the studio. Working with engineering / Marathon leadership was extremely toxic and humiliating. I won't speak on about the rest, but Bungie leadership needs to be gutted completely." And, looks like the update is that Spirit has deleted his comments on X / Twitter and Blue Sky. So take for this what you will. But yeah, Spirit worked on Bungie as a senior software engineer from June 2022 to May 2024. Per his LinkedIn profile, his comments shed more light on what appears to be deeply troubled work environment. In his own words, he described the daily reality of working under leadership as extremely toxic and humiliating, making it clear that the issues are not just about the project direction, but about how teams are treated on this personal level. By the way, buy-in. It's going to be some good stuff there in AEW stuff. And, Double Nothing. Can't wait for that stuff. Already got the preview via Triller TV. But yeah, anyway, back to the point. In his own words, he described the daily reality of working this toxic, humiliating, spirit-oriented and such. Not just the project direction. It's not really surprising. There's a lot of these horrible things that are just continuing to happen because of lack of real strong leadership in these companies. Not just strong leadership, but also just incompetence and a lack of real punishment for people in these positions of power. That if you continue to just push your workers to a point that you keep, like, for example, firing or hiring or people like that, eventually the game's not going to be good and you're going to be fired anyway. Or you're going to get that golden parachute, but that sort of thing. So a lot of people this is what happens when you have, like, for example, let me see if I can get this thing right again. When you have this happens for plagiarized art, when you have bad leadership, this thing can come right out of nowhere, and now you have to re-look at all these other things. Bad leadership leads to bad and horrible decisions. This is what happens when you have a society that is built, a video game company that is built on these bad leaders, bad, bad, not just bad leadership, but rewarding bad leadership and rewarding negative traits that harm workers and harming them. Instead of being good product leaders, instead you have this type of situation. This situation of just you know this a way of actually saying not helping the product get forward or making the product. You're just making terrible. It's just like it's just like right here. Let's see right here. Every day was fight for autonomy and trust, said Spirited. Every day was someone telling me I'm not allowed to speak on any issue or problem in a professional tone. It was on our mind since the last layoffs in October 2023. We asked Pete, and his response was that it was a lever he pulled again. They need to flush leadership completely. My team was excellent, but it felt like everything else prevented us from doing anything meaningful. He also pointed out that repeated layoffs have only pushed Steel to rely on more contractors and even AI, making things even more difficult for the full-time staff. So when I hear that they laid off another round of my talented colleagues and friends, I felt angry. They're not at fault. They're not the ones who need to be canned. Every round only strengthens their reliance on contractors and AI. No joke. Yeah, this is another issue with these companies. And speaking of that, let's see. There are some companies right now who try to put all the eggs in the basket in AI. And well, let's see if I can find the article. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it. Here we are. Right here. Klarna slows AI-driven job cuts with call for real people. It says it says right here. Yeah, let's see. Chief Executive Klarna Group. It says Sebastian Simakowski is planning a rare recruitment drive for the buy now, pay later companies customers will always have the option of speaking to a real person. It's a sign that the Swedish fintech's commitment to AI has its limits. Speaking of the company's headquarters in Stockholm, the co-founder of Co-founder Summit Toski said the firm is planning a new cohort of employees in an Uber-type setup where they can log in and work remotely with a view to eventually replacing the few thousand human agents and such. Pilot started small with consumers like just now. We know there are tons of Klarna users who are very passionate about our country and such. So yeah, they were going to he wanted to work with AI, and then next thing you know, all this other stuff for billions, and then the firm stopped hiring and was doing all the work, and I think they lost a lot of money afterwards. They are like made his comments like whoop, and before that it was going up, and then down, and then finally rose up because it's finally, they were doing a lot of AI stuff, but then it realized he they needed people and everything else. He needs, because again, the AI stuff is not there yet. And now you have this company, these video game companies using AI and all this type of stuff to basically we need to cut costs or trying to make more money, keep money for themselves. And now when it doesn't work and the company's like, man, this AI thing is not that good. So yeah, now they need to have changes up to the top, and maybe people are going to look at this game and they're like, if this game does not do well, if Marathon does not do well, which honestly I wouldn't be surprised with bombs. I think at this point there is no I think at this point it wouldn't surprise me to see this stuff go down, and basically I honestly think they should, in my personal opinion, should not be hiring AI. I think AI is not the evil devil or whatever. I think we should find a way to use this technology to help people instead of just like saying it should be banished away from the ether or everything else. Sit there and try to find a way to help people, but not just try to use it to fire people and say, oh, this is AI and everything else. This is like, oh, we're going to replace you with this, and it's not working. It's overwhelmed. And then, bam, your product is terrible, and then like you fire, and you don't fire the leadership that put in that position. You don't fire the people in that position. Yeah, Disco just comes out of nowhere and attacks. By the way, I'm watching both, that sort of stuff. Yeah, it comes out of nowhere back. But yeah, watching Collision, by the way, and maybe one of the days I'll do a live reaction if you want me to do that. But back to the point, I wanted to say this: this situation, this right here, shows me when you have terrible leadership, when you have bad leadership, you can't actually grow as not just as a company, but also you can't grow as a business or a group of people, all this type of stuff. You keep cutting this down, who's going to buy your product eventually? Because now like these jobs are for people to pay money and such to actually do something in their lives, to have something instead of just like we fire people who have this type of you fire them and you're like, well, and have a product that's not as good. It could have been as good, and that really worries me. But that's just my personal opinion. I want to hear what you have to say. Comment, like, share, subscribe, all this type of stuff. I want the discussion going about this. But yeah, I want to hear what you have to say about this. Anyway, that is it for the show. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening to me, Duke CT. Peace and love. I will see y'all when I see y'all later.